Well, here it is. The final episode of this docuseries. Hello y'all, my name is Moon, and welcome back to this final episode of this docuseries. In this episode, I'll be sharing ideas from the community that often go ignored, as well as the aftermath of the events we have discussed in either throughout all the sections or in particular sections. Also giving my opinion of Star Stable this year, why I still play, and ways to get involved with helping SL realize the issues with their game. If you haven't already, please check out the previous episodes because otherwise you're not going to understand shit what's going on in this video. So without further ado, let's get into the video. SSL typically is open to ideas, however, just like the broken promises of updates, they haven't happened. People have requested a more updated engaging race system, lunging, things to do as clubs or groups, actual competitions of disciplines not in race form, more quests, the hope of areas or settlements like Dino Valley or Markengath Castle and Golden Hills being used, a care system that actually bonds with your horse instead of just being a cosmetic interface change and punishment, horse tryout modes, a desert area, carriages, blankets, and so much more. Some people are concerned about whether or not dressage is doable, and for that, let's look at how some horse games from my childhood have been able to do dressage. The Pippa Funnel series 2 through 4 have different but kind of similar dressage mechanics. The second one has different key bindings to hold or press depending on the gates as well as timing. The third one involves a rhythm game-like mechanic with the gates. And the fourth involves key bindings and replicating a pattern on the ground as it appears. Lucinda Green Equestrian does dressage and full-on rhythm game timing, kind of like Friday Night Funkin', but you just press the buttons at the right time. In games like the My Horse and Me series and Rhinestar do actual moves with mouse movements and the right gates. I think SSL can probably incorporate more key bindings to do actual dressage push moves for all horses. Yes, it will take time, but here's the thing. I honestly feel like if this game wants to have more content, they gotta do updates that aren't weekly, such as monthly, bi-monthly, or bi-weekly updates. Yes, we're gonna get people wanting weekly updates, but let me ask you something. Would you rather have these nothing to log on for updates, or updates that have more care and love put into them? Especially with wanting more quests, areas having a purpose, and more, they need to put more time into their content, otherwise it's just gonna turn into a digital mall you log on.
2 shots of vodka. Then 1.
Lunging is also doable since their own horse app also has the swipe mechanic. If they want to make it more complex, they could be a similar dot system like the fourth Pippa Funnel game. I feel like they don't want to do a horse tryout mode because then YouTubers and people in general won't buy horses if it ends up being shitty. However, in my opinion, for the sake of saving money, this would help out so much. Carriages are kind of more cosmetic, but in terms of things to do with them, there could be group races or daily quests involving them. As for an updated racing system, people suggested sprinting, actual penalties to time, a skill system, variety in rewards, and variety in types of races besides the same old hit the spacebar at the right moment and slow down or get stuck in the jump if you miss them. As I stated earlier, for neglected areas, there's gotta be more time put into them, not just with looks, but for things to do. Wildwoods, in my opinion, doesn't have anything once you finish everything that there is to offer in Wildwoods. Just like events, they were spaced out unnecessarily with the area, just feeling empty and only useful for pictures. This is an example of a pretty area with nothing to do, just like how current areas are remodeled. They're only pretty, but it's lacking things to do in there besides standing there for club pics, role plays, or somehow making up activities to do. I wish they had mini games to do in the game, especially for other people as well, because then it actually makes things more engaging instead of having to force us to think of something like kids in a TV show to do. Finally, an actual horse care system where you fucking bond with your horse. Instead of, if you don't log on, your horse will get fucking depressed and move slower. People also wanted blankets, and a way this could have been used if they didn't rip away the cold tolerance in Dino Valley is to use it as some kind of like horse armor to deal with the cold, or have tech that could help non-cold tolerant horses handle Dino Valley. These were the many ideas people suggested, as well as some ways how I believe they can be done in a doable fashion. But knowing SSO, who knows how long it would take SSO to actually do something that people want content-wise. Since the strikes, the scandals, and SSO's evolution, we still have a divide within the community. There's more people speaking up, and there's still people ready to silence others. Rattle, Junio, Eleanor, Nightwalker, Amelia Cloudwatcher, and Rebecca Horner will be doing a podcast sometime in January, I believe, so be on the lookout for that. Junio also recently gave out some hashtags for 2020, so I'll leave a link for y'all to check that out. SSO is still plugging their ears on ideas, feedback, and constructive criticism without any sugarcoating via copy-pasted responses. Hell, even some of the game masters are losing their cool over a slight comment instead of being in a professional manner.
Hey, kids, Patricia! Honey, can you be quiet? I'm just trying to do something.
As for the game itself, it's immensely different compared to what SSO looked like when it was packed. Moreland, the starter area, is more diluted, and as for areas outside the free-to-play parts, it's sparse even at Steve since it's remodeled, which is usually the most packed area. Now, this is what it looks like on my server, but it might not be like that for some of y'all. But the sad thing is, more people only get on Wednesdays to do whatever we gotta do, whether it's getting another cosmetic course or do a short-ass quest or race. It just feels like the life of the game is slowly being drained into a buggy state. Even these lovely people, Nova and Flippa, are advocating for a chance to replay the quest again without having to buy another account due to the lack of content and people forgetting the story. I highly recommend checking out their Instagram where they discuss more why they're advocating for this and so forth. It's just mind-boggling to me how SSO claims they want to be here for another 10 years in their main quest article, except they keep going short-term and pushing out multiple deals, weeding out double Starcoin weekends and Starcoin codes, and continuing to shove horses and expensive-ass clothes and pets.
I honestly just don't understand it. How difficult is it to just listen to the people who are speaking to you, Star Stable? It seems sometimes that you deliberately ignore anything that we have to say in favor of doing something that appeals to you. But you don't understand that we are the ones that keep this game alive, whether you like to admit that or not. And if you stop treating your players like idiots, as you do in customer service replies, as you do on social media, then maybe you will start to realize that we are intelligent people who would like to see this game succeed. But all that you're doing is you're pushing us away further and further and further.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I don't think this game is gonna survive much longer. As much as I love this game, I don't think it's gonna last if it keeps going in this direction. So, what's my actual opinion on this game? So now I'm going to give y'all a review on how this year went in the most honest and respectful way possible. And as well, I'll give my reason on why I still play this game. So let's start with the review. Let's start with the horses. For horses, the best horses that definitely came out this year for me were the Gotland pony, Arabian, and American horses. This shows that it's possible for them to put tender love and care into their horses. Even though the American paint has some gates copied from the Arabian, I still think they're good horses. For horses that I think that are alright, but still have some gripes here and there, but I would still buy, have to be the Percheron, with the only gripe being its mane and hair almost dried ramen noodles, but managed to be saved, especially once you look at how they are in game, that it does at least fit the horse. Fin horses are okay, just the mane looks like bacon strips, and since it has the same special move as the Jorvik wild horse, its legs look like it's folded lying down and ears fold back while jumping. I also like the birthday horse, since especially with them being a Jorvik wild horse, it's still well done. I think the coat's unique. Although I do wish the voting process for this had more options in terms of models and colors, since it was limited in my opinion, or give us the option to pick what kind of horse we want. Finally, the Gen 3 Icelandic. They were underwhelming, but I still like the coats and island animations. Just wish the default mane wasn't long on one side and a noodle on the other. The stiffness in some of the gaits and other mane styles reveal how the horse is kind of weird in some some places, more specifically the neck region, and also, how the hell is an Icelandic the same height as an Arabian and have Clydesdale hooves? Now for horses, I didn't like. Obviously, they released the other Frisians, including the one that was supposed to be an app horse. As for variants, I basically like everything but the Frisian. And as I said in episode 1, the Frisians are a broken mess from the model to the animation to the gates and so forth. Honestly, I would get a Frisian if the model is still like this, but the gates and animation and mane and tail were fixed. Now for magical horses. In terms of ones that were new and not re-releases, I love the magical Clydesdales, Petra and Erinys, because of their details, and I also really like their Clydesdales in general. In my opinion, Clydesdales are underrated as well as some other horse breeds, and I can see why due to not many people liking them compared to horses made by Nami and other breeds, but I still think they have charm. As for ones I dislike, that's the magic Frisians from Mar and Aldrach, the Urvik Wild, Halloween horses, Song Sora and Duskgrim, and the magic Arabians, Shadow Shield and the Snow Dancer. Now you're probably wondering, why the Urvik Wild horses and Arabians are in this category, and I'll explain in a little bit. Obviously the magic Frisians, as I stated before, in the same boat with Gen 3, and it's a shame because I do think their coats are cool besides Farmar's normal coat, except I wish they didn't turn out into lizards, but they could have had actual wings.
Is that a mini dinosaur?
You dumb bitch, that's a Komodo dragon.
Oh, true.
I do see the argument of these ones not fitting the theme of the game, except considering we have bird-themed, seahorse-themed, rock-themed horses, I'm not really surprised. I do wish they had some uniqueness though, instead of plastering on a dragon texture on a horse. Now, the Urvik Wilds and Arabian magic horses have a similar reason why I think these are the worst ones in terms of design. For the Urvik Wilds, their design lacks a lot of detail. Duskgrim honestly just changes from a Cremello to a raven black color. That's really all that horse is. Song Sora, who has the most detail with having flowers in their hair, at least changes from a different color at least. This also fell flat because there are players expressing how with the Urvik Wild birthday horse, these ones coming out just feels like they're overusing the Urvik Wilds, making people get tired of them. Yes, they had planned these horses in advance, but honestly, if they already had time with the results from the birthday horse survey, they could have taken the time to rework them on different breeds. In my opinion, they should have done the Arabians for Halloween, or even breeds that don't have one yet, like the Marwaris, Nabstruppers, etc., because I felt like they would fit a Halloween setting more. Finally, the magical Arabians. Dear God, I was actually excited hearing we were going to do magical Arabians, and we get this. Now, this is an example of not just less detail, but not really fitting the theme. Some people are excusing this by saying they're trying to be an ornament or New Year's horses, except considering the timing they came out, if it really was for New Year's, they should have released them during New Year's or New Year's Eve. People are expecting something more wintry. Plus, I don't know about you, but when you hear snow dance, don't you expect like a snowy winter icy blue coat or something like that? Or like a snowy ice white coat? As for Shadow Shield, maybe make more of a darker icy coat. These horses honestly look like one of the carnival horses or with gold flakes and shit on them for YouTuber or influencer pictures with the darkened backgrounds, with even the coats looking like face paint into a damn half zebra or gazelle in a Rio de Janeiro carnival. Also, in my opinion, for the least detailed, it goes to the Urvik Wild magical horses, and for the ones that didn't follow the theme or read the rune, the magical Arabians. Overall, when it comes to horses, I wish there were more time taken to actually develop them and not push them out every month, and I wish they have more creative freedom with horse coats, would bring out more unique coats. Now with horses out of the way, let's look at how actual content was treated. In my opinion, it was very horribly treated.
I have no friends. Bitch, what am I? A roach?
For the ones I liked somewhat, I did like the different herds of Wildwoods, especially Willow being my favorite horse NPC out of all the herds. However, dialogue-wise, dear God, whenever they get into an argument, as I said before, they sound like toddlers fighting each other to the point where it just makes me feel like, okay, can y'all chill out? Or I don't want to listen to this because it just felt ear jarring.
What was the reason? I had a reason. What was the reason? What was the reason? I just explained the reason. What was the reason, bitch? I don't need to explain myself to you. And what was the reason?
I also love the relationship between Roko and Juniper, kind of like a Romeo-Juliet situation, somewhat, but not fully. Out of all the short-ass quests we got this year, the most enjoyable but still lacking for me was Maya's horse in the story quest, even though it did have a day blocker, but even then, if that day blocker was removed, it would probably still be very short. The common thing with these two quests is that they took so long to get to the driving point to where it just felt underwhelming. For Maya's horse, it felt like I was slowly being dragged on, and for the first day blocker quest in a while, it just took a while to get to the point in both parts. The only parts that had me on the edge of my seat was when Ellie almost decided to do a Kermit fall, and the damn portal forming in the one main story quest we got this year before it just turned to another repeated Druid mission. I did like in some of the daily quest build-ups, we did get some of Alex and Maya's relationship, but once again, I wish they dive into this more or have more character development instead of just plastering on a "we're together" label in post. This is also a common thing when it comes to some of the relationships in this game, especially ones that are trying to show LGBTQIA+ inclusivity. They either didn't really indicate that they were in a relationship due to the context still interpretable as being friends, or it just wasn't properly mentioned and developed. For example, with Dundal, with Siggeir and Dr. Aaron, they're supposed to be confirmed together, but throughout the whole questline with Dundal, I didn't really get an implication that they weren't a couple, since they mainly just talked about the business of the situation with Dundal. But considering they're trying to aim at kids, they might have not been able to properly portray that properly. Now, for the quest I didn't like or had an issue with, obviously the fucking whodunit on the Rubik's Cube with Krusty Sabine's Fortnite foot, due to how unaware our character acted when reacting to fire footprints that were obviously Khan's, which was Sabine's horse. And once again, the dialogue of the arguments with the Redwood herds, as I said earlier, really shows why I hate it due to being a he said, she said situation scenario.
Big fat ass girl, fuck wrong with your dumb ass bitch. Red Bull is supposed to give you wings, but the only wing your fat ass will ever get is a Buffalo Wild Wing in your motherfucking mouth. Oh no! Our table! She ate it! Lamar, please shut your fat ass the fuck.
Gary's quest was okay, but once again, I felt like there could have been more besides a, "Oh no, a hostage horse. We gotta go distract the culprit and save him." I just wish there was once again more development of the quest actually being exciting, because it just felt very basic. Pistachio the squirrel in Bonnie's recycling simulator were let down to the fact how pistachios just essentially turned into races, not really any more plot with her. Bonnie's recycling simulator could be fucking completed in a day. However, just like Farrah's crafting, it was just something to do as a keep you busy chore instead of content to do endgame wise. Next, the events. Halloween was the best event out of all events we had this year, but not better than last year due to how lacking it was and how buggy this bitch was. This, as well as Christmas Winter Village rewards, were more grind-worthy with the increase of prices for the items. The only quest we got that's new event-wise was that Linda detective case with Galloper Thompson. I'm glad we got lore, but once again, it just felt like stuff we've done before with Catherine's memories. However, the quest felt unfinished because Linda went from, "Oh my god, follow Thompson's horse," to, "We'll research this later next year, bye." If you're gonna implement an event story-ish quest, at least properly finish it and flesh it out, not for events that were very lacking. First off, the damn midsummer event is even more empty without the flower crown collecting simulator that we had before, and on top of that, it's once again recycled shit with nothing to do. The 10th anniversary event. You know, for an event that was so hyped up, the activities were so lacking in itself. Yeah, we got codes for outfits and pets and a free horse, but in terms of what was worthwhile and content that was fun, this event was very boring. The quests were just easy trivia, and on top of that, we didn't get the full outfit from that. The horseshoes was just like any old random collection. The tour audio thing was kind of pointless in my opinion, since it once again repeats stuff a lot of players already know about SSO, and besides the expensive ass clothes, pets, and getting cake you can't eat, this didn't really feel like a special event. Whenever an MMO is celebrating such a big milestone year-wise, typically they go all out for a 10-year anniversary. However, this event for SSO not only felt lacking, but didn't really feel like a thank you to players who've played this game for so long. It was more of a, "Yay, you played the game the longest, here's some money deals to spend on." Hell, they weren't really generous considering the codes geared more towards newer players instead of older players. For example, the excessive use of Star Rider codes that only work once. Older players that were here from the beginning only got a good job email for being here. Ambassadors and influencers that kissed the feed of SSO, we're getting merch that would have been better to buy instead of a giveaway.
Can I have some napkins? Sir, this is McDonald's. We don't sell napkins. My bad. Can I have some McNapkins? Of course.
In general, SSO has missed such a good opportunity to have worthwhile merch, but no, it's a giveaway only. I guarantee you, a lot of people wanted the 10th anniversary edition of stuff if it was purchasable. Next, the Rainbow Festival. I like the addition of LGBTQIA+ bows, but once again, as I said earlier, your ass only really geared towards sexualities that women are able to be, and once again, we got recycled content. But this time, if your ass finished to find all of wannabe Indiana Jones Sky Edition shit, you don't get to do it again. All you got now is an area you go to find a few horseshoes and be on a budget Mario Kart Rainbow Road race. Finally, the Christmas Winter Village of Friendship event. Honestly, as I stated before, the remodel of the village feels gloomy and cold instead of warm and festive. They dragged on shit for too long with having to grind for warm wishes even more. The Arctic Fox short-ass quest was educational, but kind of pointless to have it go everywhere in the village to learn about them. And I wish they had an instant with the foxes while learning about them, such as maybe if they got kidnapped or on the quest to find some sort of area where they are, etc. They also took out some events of the Northern Lights the first week and then shoved some other events in another week. How exciting. I did like the ice path effects used in the race, the crystals, and the trees, because I do gotta admit, those parts of the area were pretty. And obviously, once again, recycle shit from before. I would like to add they took out events just so they could have Jorvik ones and more content, and here we are with barely anything to do that was fun in these events and the game itself. You could have Jorvik-sized existing ones, and if you wanted to be inclusive on winter holidays, once again, I'm gonna say this again, add opportunities to learn about other holiday traditions besides Christmas and your own. At least I still got my penguins. R.I.P. Penguin Choir. Overall, the events were mediocre, and compared to other events from the past and other MMOs, they're lacking heavily in content department and turning into shopping malls. Remodels this year of areas, I would have to say the only one, if I had to choose which one was nice in terms of beauty, has to go to Steve's. And in terms of accuracy to the layout, the riding hall. However, I honestly didn't like any of the remodels of the areas, from sucking out vibes that help players still feel like the nostalgia, to losing uniqueness, to the clutter of layouts, to the tragedy of SSD having to raise their voices to get their lines back, to just more and more being pretty areas, replicating the style of Starshine Ranch or Dundalk with nothing to do. As for the reveal of the Dark Riders remodels, as I said in the first episode, I'm roasting the shit out of them. I hate everyone except Kaja and Mortifa due to how she's the most accurate to her old character design somewhat, and Mortifa actually being the best looking horse out of all of them, but still kind of a badass, and everyone else either getting a name change or turn into something that doesn't relate to the lore of Starshine Legacy and SSO. I'll be honestly surprised if they managed to fix them, but I highly doubt it, considering Lisa is still a Visco country girl. I also really hate the taking out the auto slow, cold tolerance, and adding unnecessary shit like the E button, mail button, and cosmetic updates of the horse care system and club display as a, if you're too lazy to do this, hit this button, or it was just badly executed. For example, you can't use the E button to go through dialogue like other MMOs using the F button or something else. The amount of races this year, dear God. Why do we gotta keep having these horses of Jorvik races as an incentive to get people to buy horses to do the races that are done in a minute? In my opinion, they're not worth it, since either a jumping one, crusty working equation, or an unrealistic western one. They're not even worth it because you don't really get any rider XP on the first time around, and there's not much horse XP anyways. It's like below 200 at least. Other races this year just felt like another chore to do instead of being engaging. Also, the fact they just had a race or clothes release as a singular update. Do y'all really think a lot of people will get on to buy clothes and do a race that lasts for a minute or so? Like, I'm actually wondering, do you think people enjoy them? Because most people only really think they're okay or it's not enough as an update. So now that I've discussed everything based on the updates this year, do I got a favorite update? Not really, considering how lacking they were this year. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it a 3 out of 10. In my opinion, this is probably SSO's worst year performance-wise. Basically, if you're okay with the game turning into a horse buying simulator app, that's okay with you. But for me, it's important to acknowledge that the fact that they're lacking in content, a shit ton of bugs are not fixed, and not consistent in the horse release performance further shows the issues with this game. In my opinion, I would call this year the eye-opener year, considering how we've discovered how SSO truly is. So now you're probably wondering, why do I still play this game if I see a lot of issues wrong with it? For starters, I've been with this game since 2012, aka I've been playing for 9 years now. Considering how I spent money on this game from Lifetime and Star Coins, I and many others have the right to give our feedback and constructive criticism on things we don't like. Luckily, I didn't spend a shit ton of money like a lot of influencers have. Despite these issues, I don't regret spending money on this game. If I had discovered this while I was older, then that would have been a different story. With that being said, besides spending money on this game, I was interested in it because of the story, and I'm a fan of horse games. I've always been a horse game connoisseur. I've been playing horse games since I was little, and I've seen the ups and downs of them. Comparing older horse games with SSO, the older ones even have more content than SSO, and I find it sad for a game that speaks so highly of itself. They're not good performance-wise. I also still play SSO because I have friends that I've known and grown up with in this game. The club that I'm mainly in consists of friends as well as friends from different clubs. For example, I'm friends with the club owner and we've been friends now for 8 years. And another friend of mine, Huggy, who I have in earlier videos, she and I have been friends now for 7 to 8 years. I'm glad I still have online friends to come to, and without them, I wouldn't have been more prepared about the real world. So, the online friends, the in real life friends, and my parents have shaped me into the woman I am today. I still find enjoyment with making edits and doing videos, so if SSO ain't gonna do shit, then I'm gonna make up my own shit to do with arts and videos. However, even then, I don't log on as much due to the fact since I'm also a college student and I have more priorities on doing homework and still having a balance with life. In general, if the game had shit to do endgame wise, then I'd probably log on more, but until then, I log on when I have time or whenever I really want to. I'll probably won't really quit considering how I still love this game and want them to get better. So with that being said, I haven't really spent money on this game since February, and it's honestly easy for me since I like to budget my money and in-game money. So if anyone's wondering, no, I'm not having an aneurysm or craving to buy star coins. I can only really hope that if enough voices speak up that SSO changes for the better and actually improves. So to help out with being able to spread more awareness, I'm going to give y'all some ways to get involved in finding ways to get SSO to actually improve. As I stated earlier, Jenny O has some hashtags to set up for 2022, so you can go check out that. Besides that, 1. Go on a star coins right, aka don't spend any damn money on star coins and actually save. I feel like especially YouTubers struggle with this since they have content now based on, I spin this wheel to pick what horse to buy, or if I lose this champ, I have to buy this horse. Even for some of y'all that speak up on some of SSO's bullshit, I honestly wish for those that still buy star coins to think about at least taking a stance and not spend so much money on this game in its current state. Honestly, for me, until I see consistent good shit coming out content-wise, then I'll give my money for star coins again. Plus, with the influence of horse buying videos, it increases the FOMO even more, especially for younger and or newer players. I also feel like some of y'all are treating this company, as I said before, an indie game developer, when this is a multi-million-dollar company that's making $44 million per year. As for those who review horse games or just games in general, give equal criticism to games overall. You're starting to look more like the company bought you if you just keep sugarcoating the issues or praising them to the gods when there's many issues not spoken up about right now. I respect your opinions, but going forward, give the same energy to all games about issues wrong with the game. Anyways, other ways to get involved is obviously speaking up in a respectful manner in posts or videos with the consideration of how people feel on both sides, because you already know damn well those white knights and stands will have a damn heart attack if they have an issue with something.
Why don't we just relax and turn on the radio? Would you like M or Flu?
For all the white knights and stands out there, please start to consider why people are upset instead of shitting on them just because they disagree. It's not in any way, shape, or form with coming out with comments like this and degrading and gaslighting the situation even more. We understand you love certain things SSO comes out with, but don't drag people in to make them inclined to feel positive about every damn thing with the toxic positivity. I'll also put in a link to a petition that's I think is still active, and for anyone that wants to learn more about SSO as a company, once again, as I stated before, check out Rattle's videos and also check out Jenny O's videos. If you want a more average opinion of like the average player, check out Denise Wisestorm, especially for no sugarcoating. Other people I do recommend that don't sugarcoat shit is Abigail Pinehaven, Corinne Misthill, Star Stable Updates, and Eleanor Nightwalker. I also highly recommend checking out Blue Witch's podcast, which he goes in depth on SSO and also a telonym discussing different opinions. As I also stated in the last episode, SSO Opinions is probably the most reliable T account in my opinion. That's not somebody that's trying to deframe others in an uneducated manner, or in other words, not somebody that's trying to frame others when they didn't do shit. If you also want to learn more about people's club experiences or anything dealing with child predatory behavior from other influencers or even club owners, I highly recommend checking them out. I also highly recommend formulating your own opinion on things from other people's videos, because there are still others that speak up whether it's for or against SSO decisions. In general, I feel like it's important to look at both sides instead of blindly following one side. For me, if it wasn't obvious, yes, I'm for the side for wanting SSO to change for the better and not agreeing much with the decisions they've been making lately. However, I do acknowledge the fact that they work hard for these options, but to look at this honestly, I gotta be honest with my childhood, or it's never gonna grow for the better.
Look, here comes a consequences of my actions chasing me right now. I don't want no consequence. I don't want no consequences chasing me right now. Someone take this consequence. Someone take this consequence and chasing me right now. Jesus, take the consequence. Jesus, take the consequence chasing me right now.
So I feel like to those who extremely kiss SSO's feet, please take off the rose-tinted glasses, especially most of the ambassadors, and see how the state of this game really is, instead of going at the throats of those who are trying to tell you what's going on. Lastly, to get involved, share videos like this or videos speaking up on how SSO really is. Besides spreading it throughout the community, in my opinion, in order to get SSO to actually listen, I think we need a voice bigger than an SSO YouTuber. I'm talking about someone from the bigger MMO side of the gaming community. Somebody that reviews MMOs, especially to look at SSO. Because honestly, if SSO ever goes on a place like Steam because of the review system, it might actually show how SSO is and how most people truly feel about the game. I don't think people realize that SSO is more of a small part of the gaming community considering the target audience and how it looks on the outside. If somebody big enough sees this or anything, tries the game fully, not get discouraged because of the character creation, graphics, or the girly theme, not fall for their sponsorships, and speaks up, we might actually have a chance for SSO to prove for the better. And it's only a matter of time for that to actually happen. Alright, since we are now almost at the end of this episode, I am going to do a little bit of a comments montage of people that have spoken up about shit wrong with SSO or any of the topics that we have discussed. So, without further ado, hit it, Jerry! Well, it looks like we reached the end of this journey. For starters, thank you all so much for your support on this doc, and a huge thank you to those who allowed me to let me use footage, audio, and /her posts. Once again, please check these people out for not just discussing SSO, but also other content as well. Whether this has changed or strengthened your view on the issues at hand, I hope the main thing you've taken away from the video is seeing different sides, or for some of you, have discovered a whole dilemma within the gaming community outside of the typical bigger. Thank you for taking the time to listen to these episodes, and what matters to me at the end of the day is that I was able to spread awareness on these issues that not many people talk about. Until then, let's hope that in the future, one day we'll be heard.